So with the summertime coming up, you know there's going to be a couple of Pride marches here and there, and with Pride marches, much like any other event, there comes the opportunity for stores to sell merchandise, which is exactly what Target was doing here. But it seems that they gotta walk a couple things back, because Target seems to have gotten themselves into the headlines nowadays because some of the merchandise that they had released upset some parents. So if you haven't heard about what's going on thus far, sit back and I'm going to see if I can bring you up to speed quickly, and then we'll get into it. But before we get into it, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like and consider subscribing. So because Target rolled out their Pride collection at the start of May, they're now having to pull a couple products from their stores because of customer backlash, obviously. Now the part that kind of gets me curious about all of this is they're not just alluding that they had to pull a couple of products, they're actually saying that the reason for doing this is simply because of employee safety, which now makes me have to question, what kind of threats were they getting where they have to say that they're worried about employee safety? So the items in particular that upset some people were, about 2,000 different products, including like clothing, books, music, and like home furnishings and decor and accessories. Basically anything that you could turn into merchandise. But obviously, when it comes to this merchandise, it would have some kind of slogan such as mugs that say gender fluid, queer all year calendars, and books for children aged 2 to 8 titled Bye Bye Binary, Pride 123, and books like I'm Not a Girl. So Target actually put out a statement saying, given these volatile circumstances, we are making adjustments to our plans, including removing items that have been at the center of the most confrontational behavior. It should go without saying that this is not Target's first rodeo. They've been celebrating Pride for some time now, but it almost seems like if this year's collection really rubbed people the wrong way. It's being reported that people were taking some of the merchandise and throwing it on the floor. That does absolutely no damage to them other than you're making some employee have to now go and clean that up. And I am cognizant of the fact that this does come on the heels of the situation with Dylan Mulvaney. So, some of the products are going to be removed, and I emphasize the word some, because it's mainly from the LGBTQ brand Aprolin, which did come under some fire because of the designer Eric Carnell, who they're also attributing to some form of, Satan worship of some sort, saying that his designs are very satanic. If you look at some of the pictures that you have here, Target also is on record mentioning that they're going to be making some adjustments to some of their swimsuit wear, whether it's locating it in a different part of the store, kind of away from all the peeping eyes, or they might just outright pull it off the shelf. Okay, so that's basically what's been transpiring. Now, here's the thing, because I do have a couple of questions and I have some statements that I want to make, and you guys tell me where I'm off. Let's say I grant Target the benefit of the doubt in that they were removing some of these items because they were in fear for their employees. If they're in fear for their employees, then it's one of two things. Violence has either been threatened or violence has been commenced with, and I'm gonna just go with the former, only because there are no reports out there that says that violence has been commenced with, so we could remove that. But this is still a form of terrorism because it's still relying on intimidation factors in order for you to get the thing that you want, if we are to believe Target. Now take a few things into consideration. They say that there were people in the store that were breaking some items, and probably mugs and whatever else, right? Ripping shirts and whatever. As I stated earlier, that does absolutely nothing. 1, Target is more than likely insured for all their merchandise. 2, you're on camera, so you're committing an act of vandalism in which they could have you charged. And 3, if they really wanted to push this, if they were really determined, they could just reshelf that exact same item the moment you leave. With that said though, one thing I didn't understand, and this is where I think the argument is a little bit inconsistent, because if you're gonna push for one item to be removed because of morality, why just this one because it's from Eric Carnell? Does that make all of the other stuff on the shelves okay now? That all have to do with Pride in one way or another? The mugs, the calendars, the other books, not including the ones I had named earlier. Does that stuff get to stay on the shelf and you could shop around as normal? The only way to affect change in a company is not to break their stuff. Wouldn't it just be to boycott? If you don't like what Target is doing, there are still a lot of stores that aren't doing that. If I don't agree with what a store does in a certain season, or a company what they do, as much as I could help it, they're not going to see a dime from me, I could assure you of that one. So while I am sympathetic to recognizing the reality of the situation, in which cases you don't have all the choice because, you could live in a small area and there could just be the one big box store like Target. And so that's where you get the majority of your stuff. But in a world where we have so many different options and more are coming, it's not the easiest, but it is definitely getting easier too, where if you do not like what a store does, you don't actually have to support them. Because believe it or not, lending your money to Target, if you don't agree with their principles, is supporting them. But if you guys think I'm wrong in this one, by all means let me know where I was off, or maybe I missed a point here and there. If you enjoyed this video though, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and I will see you again for the next one. Be easy, y'all.